was on a venture last week in my own house, decluttering, going through cupboards and drawers, when I came across this. This lighter, or a very similar one, I utilized for 12 years, around 15 times a day. If you calculate, that would make a lot of cigarettes that I smoked before I finally quit. My quitting story is an example of how one tragic event can be an eye-opener. In the face of such tragedy, you are forced to reconsider your values. The things that you can give up and the things you want to hold on to no matter what. It was May the 5th, 2012, Pedrelles. I had been studying for months and months for an exam that I was going to take the following week. My husband was anxious because all he saw was me studying all the time, so he thought that I might lose it. He decided to take me to this music festival at Maslak Park. At the festival, we ended up having lots of fun, listening to good music, singing, dancing, tying ribbons to trees. You do that at Pedrelles. You tie red ribbons to trees and make wishes for your future life. Unbeknownst to us, as we were having our fun, there were 4 men working around the festival entrance, just itching to cause trouble. And we would encounter them soon, unfortunately. We ended the night, and hand in hand, my husband and I were walking towards our car. We were happy, we were singing. And as elated as he was, he lit a cigarette, because that's what happy smokers do, they light up a cigarette. One of those guys who sold the cigarettes approached us, and as he approached, I saw in his face that it was pale white and he was possibly under the influence of some illegal drug. He reached for the cigarette, and immediately my husband ducked and saved his cigarette. I just wish he had not done that, because that guy really, really needed that cigarette. Before we knew it, his crew had gathered up around us, and they began to hit and kick my husband. Intuitively, I clenched my fists and I tried to target them, but that was in vain, as one of them just brushed me to the ground. And on the cold ground, all I could do was scream. This was only so far. When they eventually let my husband go, his shirt was torn and he was bleeding. But it was not his external injuries that shook me, it was his eyes. His pride had been broken. As you can imagine, we could not get out of the house the next day. In fact, it took us around a week for us to gather our courage to step out of our apartment. In that week, I had been dealing with hurt emotions, post-traumatic stress, and injuries. When finally we could get out of the house, I stepped out into the beautiful, fresh May, spring, it was there, and I took a couple of deep breaths. And those breaths helped me clarify my thoughts in my mind. I realized that I had a crystal clear action plan of what I was going to do next. Yes, we had suffered that very tragic event, and yes, we were not going to forget it for the rest of our lives, that was for sure. But I needed to make this better. I needed to heal myself, and I needed to heal my husband. So it was really simple. It was not a venture what I had to do. I had to give up smoking. Cigarettes had done nothing good for me so far. They give you cancer, they might cause a heart attack. I knew all this, I was a doctor for God's sake. So why did I keep on smoking? What was the reason? I'll tell you, there are 2 reasons for everyone who smokes. First is nicotine addiction, and the second is the vast brainwashing that comes in many, many different forms. So I had to take a cleansing rain shower for my mind and my body to rid myself of the gruesome stuff, with the help of loved ones and a certain person called Mr. Alan Carr that I must acknowledge. I was successful. 5 years on today, now, I am grateful, thankful to be here and have shared my experience with you. Looking back at that night, I am grateful that I did not allow myself to act like a victim for a long time. Instead, I was able to cultivate a decision, a very important decision out of my personal calamity for my future health and contentment. Let me just end by saying this. Yes, terrible stuff might happen to us in our lives. Most of them are inevitable. We just have no way of knowing what's coming our way. But I believe that if we change our perspective, we can come up with useful conclusions. So please don't let trouble define or destroy you. Find it in your heart to let it strengthen and empower you.